What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Countdown Scouting Network. I'm your host, Joey Garcia, and today we are getting into the NFC side of things with the NFC East starting things out for the undrafted free agents. So let's get started. If you guys don't know, this is our undrafted free agent series where we go through a couple guys who we think have a chance of making some of these rosters. So we'll start out with Philly and let's get started. This one, I like all these guys. I had to put three of them on here because I really like them. Ben Van Sumeren, the linebacker from Michigan State. He is a guy who was super explosive in the pro day. He's 6'3", 240 pounds. He was really explosive, showed some lateral agility. He's solid in man coverage. He's okay in zone coverage. He's not too instinctual. He kind of just drops to a spot, but he is a guy who I think can play special teams, and I think he could also be a third down rotational back for you if he can get a little more physical. There are times where at 240 pounds you would think he'd be able to come down and thump people, but he just doesn't. He's not physical for his size. Couple honorable mention guys that I wanted to put in here. There's two cornerbacks. The cornerback room in Philadelphia and the linebacker room are two of their more iffy spots. Philly's loaded at talent everywhere, but linebacker and corner are two of the iffier spots. And Eli Ricks is a guy who was talked about as a first-round pick in the preseason because he has the traits. He's pretty good with man-to-man coverage. There's something that has to click, and there's something that has to be unlocked. I think Philly can do it. I think this is a guy, and same with Mekhi Gardner. They're guys that can run cover three. They're guys that can run man. They're not super instinctual in zone, but I think they could run some of that. And both of these guys could probably be cornerback threes on someone's team and possibly more. If you just unlock, there's something that's not being unlocked there. And I don't know what it is because Alabama unlocks stuff in their defensive back. So I think these are good swings, and I think if they can be unlocked, they can end up making this roster. Going down to Dallas, this one was very, very easy for me. Hunter Lepke, he's the fullback from North Dakota State. He's 6'1", 235 pounds, and I'm surprised he wasn't drafted. He's an offensive weapon. He's super versatile. He can play H-back for you. He can play common fullback. He can go and be your second tight end. He's good at routes. He's got soft hands. His contact balance is nice. He can run the ball for you. He is, Kyle Juszczyk. Honestly, I'm surprised people seeing how Kyle Juszczyk's used in San Francisco, seeing this guy and not thinking that you could do the same. I don't really understand why he wasn't drafted. I would have used probably a fourth round pick would be as high as I'd go, but I would not shake my head at someone using a fourth round pick on him. That's how much I value his offensive weaponry. So another guy I gave an honorable mention to is David Durden. He's the wide receiver from West Florida. He is a vertical receiver, but he's got really good, like he's got really good focus on bringing some of these hard catches in over the shoulders, in between guys with guys' hands in his face, and he's making these concentration catches. He's an interesting one. His route running's not great. He doesn't have a amazing speed, but he can catch the ball in traffic. So that's going to be an interesting one as well. I know Dallas has a couple solid wide receivers, so it might be hard for him to make the roster, but he impressed me enough where he might make some plays in preseason. I wanted to put his name on here. The next one, New York Giants. Bryce Ford Wheaton. He is a contested catch and jump ball machine. He's 6'3", 225 pounds. He runs a legit 4.3 at 225 pounds. He's a big body receiver. There weren't very many in this draft, so I'm surprised he did not get drafted. I had a 5th round grade on him. I thought he would be drafted on day 3. Yeah, he doesn't run routes or separate that well, but separating is important, but it doesn't make that much of a difference when you can catch the ball in contested areas as well as he can. He's got good body control. He makes elite catches. He's a red zone weapon. I think they can find a spot for him here. Think about how they're using Colin Johnson right now. They might be able to put him in there and replace Colin Johnson. The last one, Washington Commanders. I like this one as well. I see. I don't like saying this, but I see a lot of Debo Samuel in the way you can use Kashmir Allen. He's a wide receiver from UCLA, but he's like a wide receiver running back hybrid. Debo Samuel is like 6 feet, 205, 210 pounds. Kashmir is 5'8", 175. So he's smaller, but they used him a lot in the same way at UCLA. They just didn't do it as well, I think. He's a guy he's a gadget offensive weapon. He's a returner. He's a good returner, and he's a guy you want to get on bubbles, on jet motions, put him in the backfield, put him on orbits. Sometimes just move him around the offense and confuse the defense with that. I think he can make this roster. The wide receiver core is not very good, other than you have Jahan Dotson that's looking good from last year. You got Terry McLaurin, and then you've got a couple other guys, De'Ami Brown and a few other guys that are okay and maybe can step into something. This is a guy who you can use in a different way than any of those guys are being used. He's not going to be used the way that you're using Terry McLaurin as a contested catch guy. He's not going to be the vertical guy that you're using Jahan Dotson. This is the underneath, behind the line of scrimmage type guy that you'll be using. I think he can make this roster. Mason Brooks is an offensive tackle from Ole Miss that I also wanted to give an honorable mention. They paid him a lot of money. He's a bigger offensive tackle. He moves fairly well. He's just not that strong. I think he's a guy who's probably a practice squad guy, but if they really are impressed with him, I think they can make it. But I wanted to throw him up here. I think he's just a practice squad guy, but we'll see. And that's it. I keep forgetting there's only four teams in each division. So that is all we have for today's episode. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like. Comment down below if there's any other undrafted guys on these teams that you think could make the roster, and we can go ahead and have discussions in the comment section. So I appreciate you guys stopping by, and tomorrow we will get into the NFC North. So have a good day, guys. Peace.